When I first saw Strange Brigade, I assumed it would be a lot like Serious Sam, an arcade game with a stupid story, repetitive gameplay, and very low production value. I was mostly right, but there is more to it. Before we take a deeper look at this game, I want to talk about it on a technical level. It looks and sounds pretty nice with some intentionally over-the-top voice acting and colorful graphics. This comes at a price though. The game is quite heavy and will make most computers sweat when the graphical settings are cramped up. It supports 21:9 and 32:9 off the bat and does not require any fixes for those to work. It also supports HDR and does look a bit better when it is activated. You get a choice between several characters with their unique background stories and abilities. While the game is mostly focused on running around and shooting enemies, the gunplay is solid enough to make that fun. Each character is voiced quite well and they all have a unique feel to them. They each get an amulet which can be charged up by collecting the souls of dead enemies, and once fully charged can release a powerful spell. These spells are also different depending on your character and each can gain a new spell from time to time. The choice is limited and you will probably quickly find that one is much more useful than the others, but it's still worth playing through anyway. It's good for experimentation. The heroes also each have passive abilities. Some do more damage with headshots, others need less souls to charge their amulets, etc. These also add to the overall uniqueness of each protagonist. While the game is most fun with friends, you could actually play it solo and would still be able to complete it on the lower difficulties. The maps are quite large and offer rewards for finding their secrets, so exploration is encouraged from the start. What's interesting here is that finding those secrets is not only advantageous, but also quite fun. The levels are large, and while they are not open, they spread out and offer enough space for things to be hidden quite well. Oftentimes you will find a secret room in plain sight, but a puzzle door will stand between you and the rewards behind it. Those puzzles range from extremely simple to medium difficulty and are designed in such a way that you will almost always figure them out if you spend enough time. I have to admit, we enjoyed that part of the game even more than the actual fighting. And since I have mentioned the fighting, let's talk about it a bit. You will be defeating hordes of enemies in this game. Most of them will die by your main weapon and amulet, but there are also random weapon crates throughout the map which can provide you with unique and more powerful boomsticks, provided you have the money of course. The chests have random drops and can be used as many times as you want, but you can only carry one special weapon at a time, and its ammunition is finite, so it's not really overpowered at all. The enemies are varied, but I have to admit that most of them are just reskinned variants of the basic slow enemy you will be seeing. The main difference is that they will look different depending on the theme of the level. I did mention that the levels are quite large and covered in traps, which you can trigger in order to punish anything stupid enough to get too close. This does include you, by the way. You will also be facing bosses, and those are quite fun to fight against as well. Usually they will drop when shot enough times in their clearly indicated weak spots, but on a few occasions you will be expected to use your head in order to figure out how to kill them. The different themes of the levels follow the general story about a goddess who is raising armies of monsters, and it's the task of our heroes to travel around the globe and take care of the threat. So yeah, the story is not good in any way, but this game is one of those where the focus is on chaotic action, and it does an excellent job at that. Especially later, you will be facing massive amounts of enemies of different kinds, forcing you to play as a team in order to stand a chance of surviving. This is why I had mentioned that the game is more fun when played with others. Not only is it easier that way, but it's also a lot more fun because lots of crazy situations arise from having more people at one place. For instance, my wife killed me by triggering a trap next to me. While this action did kill a bunch of zombies as well, I did not appreciate the idea of being an expendable distraction. It was pretty funny and just one of the many similar examples. Something that I really liked was that the host can not only set the difficulty of the round, but also tweak things a bit, such as the amount of enemies. This is good because sometimes you don't want the game to become harder by simply how much health enemies have, but rather with some more crazy carnage, which can be achieved easily by keeping the difficulty unchanged but upping the number of enemies. Due to its nature, the game does offer replayability value. Finding all secrets is hard and can be a huge challenge, so sometimes you might want to go back and look closer. Not to mention that it can be fun even after you have already seen all the levels. Once you have beaten the game, you have several options. You get the DLC levels and enjoy those as well, as they are well crafted and fun to play. The only thing I dislike there is that the enemies and bosses are recycled from the base game. It's still a fun addition and worth getting if you have enjoyed the game so far. Your other options are the Horde Mode and the Score Attack. The Horde Mode reminds me of the Call of Duty zombie levels, where you start with a basic weapon and on a small map and get to fight waves of enemies while collecting money in the process. The money can be used in order to acquire better weapons and unlock other paths of the level, making the map larger and more interesting. The problem with this game mode is that they went overboard with its duration. It took us over 2 hours to complete that game mode, and past the 90 minutes mark of this 2 hours, we already had purchased everything we could and were just mowing through the repeating waves of enemies. It's still a good game mode, but I can't imagine ever playing it again as I got bored after one time. Then there is the Score Attack. It basically revolves around killing enemies in specific ways with a time limit. It's okay, I guess, but not my cup of tea. So all in all, the game was surprisingly fun. We generally like these kind of games, but there have been many which were mediocre and boring as well, so having this one be enjoyable was a good thing, something that we were not certain of. I feel as though they do need to optimize it a bit better. It still feels quite heavy, and this can lead to moments of lower frame rates. I've played games which looked far better and run much smoother, so I don't believe the problem is that my PC is not strong enough. It feels more like an optimization issue. So, should you get Strange Brigade? The answer will depend on a lot of what sort of games you enjoy. As with many multiplayer titles, having a friend or two who can join you will make all the difference here. If I had played this game on my own, I would have not enjoyed it, period. Playing it with randoms is also not a good choice. While it is not a hard game, it does require communication because the gold and other loot you find is not shared automatically. It's left to the players to divide it amongst themselves. This is where having some asshole who loots everything could lead to frustration. Therefore, I advise you to play with friends. I've enjoyed it and suspect that most casual players will do as well. If you're looking for something more competitive, this is probably not the right title for you. But other than that, I think you should definitely give it a try, especially if you got friends playing it as well. This is the moment where I usually thank you for watching my video. I hope it was informative and entertaining and wish you a great day. Thanks for watching.